Hi, I'm Camille. My parents recently got a divorce. Mom worked as a manager, but that didn't pay very well, and she found a second job in a 24-hour flower shop. Because of that, she was almost never at home. I had to look after my younger sister. Meet 5-year-old 𝗪𝗚.
What an angel, right?
Don't let her pretty face fool you. She's a real monster. Listen to my story and you'll find out why. There's a guy in my class called Dave. I had a big crush on him. For a long time, I didn't dare approach him. But recently, I accidentally found out that he liked chocolate pie. And ding ding, an idea came to my mind. I bought a chocolate pie. In the evening, I cut it up and put a few pieces into a lunchbox. 𝗪𝗚 immediately ran into the kitchen.
What smells so delicious here? Give it to me. I want it too.
She climbed onto a chair and then reached for the lunchbox. Back off! You can't have this many sweets. 𝗪𝗚 pouted and was about to cry, but her tricks didn't work on me. The next day at school, I walked up to Dave and I handed him the lunchbox. Help yourself. I heard you like this kind of food. I spent all evening cooking it just for you. And Dave smiled. However, when he looked inside, his smile abruptly disappeared. Had he realized I bought the pie? You should try it. It's really delicious. I worked really hard on it. Why don't you try it yourself? I didn't understand what he was talking about. Maybe the pie had melted and it looked disgusting. I looked into the lunchbox and I froze. I couldn't believe my eyes. Instead of a chocolate pie, there were sausages from the cat tray laying there. I felt so humiliated I wanted to sink through the floor. This was definitely 𝗪𝗚's doing. She must have taken the pie and replaced it with that stuff. I came home furious. Hey you, do you have no shame? You have no idea how badly you set me up. All of a sudden, our mom walked out of Camille's room and looked at me sternly. Camille, stop shouting. Why did you give your sister chocolate? She's gotten terribly sick now. That's not my fault. She stole it from me. That made Mom even angrier. You're the older sister. You're responsible for her. Didn't I let you go to your friend's house tomorrow? Well, forget that. You're staying home with 𝗪𝗚. The injustice made me want to scream. Being a big sister was so lame. I locked myself in my room and I called my friend Lassie. I complained all about my mom and I asked her for advice on what to do for the next day. I have to go to this party. Dave is gonna be there. This is my chance to fix today's failure. What's the problem? Take 𝗪𝗚 with you. Your mom works late. She won't find out anyway. That seemed like a bad idea, but nothing else came to mind. In the morning, I prepared a dress for the party. I planned to go home during lunch and change into it. When I came back from school, I was in for an unpleasant surprise. 𝗪𝗚 had put on my dress. It was way too big for her and dragging on the floor behind her. But the worst thing was that she had painted it with markers. 𝗪𝗚 saw me and spun around the room.
Tell me, is it cool? Are the patterns beautiful?
I shook with rage. What have you done? How many times do I always tell you not to touch my things? Mom came into the room when she heard my screams. She looked at 𝗪𝗚 and quickly understood what had happened. But you know what? I was the one who got scolded. She barely even said anything to 𝗪𝗚. Camille, you don't have to shout like that. It's just a dress. You have plenty of others. But that's the one I wanted to wear today. Mom squinted suspiciously at me and put her hands on her hips. And where were you planning on going? I clearly said that you were staying at home with your sister this evening. Damn, I almost got busted. I had to think of something quick. I just wanted to have a photo shoot at home. After Mom had left for work, I tried to negotiate with 𝗪𝗚. Listen, I'll take you to an adult party, but you have to promise not to tell Mom anything. 𝗪𝗚 squeaked enthusiastically and agreed. I hoped that everything would go well and there would be no more surprises. A little spoiler, I greatly underestimated my sister. But let's start at the beginning. We came to Lassie's house. I left 𝗪𝗚 on her couch, asked her to behave, and went on with my friends. We danced and had fun, and at some point, I decided I was gonna talk to Dave. I was already heading towards him when someone suddenly screamed in the kitchen. Everyone immediately ran in there. It burned! She grabbed a mineral water and began to gulp it down. No one understood what was going on. Suddenly, Dave screamed too and started drinking water right from the tap. My tongue! That was when I noticed a pistachio cream cake in his hand. There was a whole tray of them on the table. I had a terrible suspicion. I bent down to the cakes and sniffed. I was right. This wasn't pistachio cream. It was wasabi. And there was a chuckle by the door. Irma.
How fun.
She had probably found the wasabi in the refrigerator and come up with that prank. Stay right there. Irma screamed and ran away. She easily slipped between the guests and crawled under a table. I just couldn't catch up to her no matter how hard I tried. We did a few laps around the house and then came back to the kitchen. At that time, Dave had just finished drinking water and was about to go back to the living room. Irma just about ran into him. He was so surprised that he lost his balance and fell. The noise attracted the rest of the guests. Everyone was staring at me, Irma, and Dave getting up off the floor. Who is this girl? Irma, Camille's sister. What kind of bad luck did I have? That little devil's spawn had ruined everything again. I couldn't stand it, and I snapped. You're such a headache. I'm never taking you anywhere with me again. You'll be staying at home.
It was just a little joke.
I didn't listen to the rest, grabbing her by the hand and dragging her home. I didn't want to stay at this party and be laughed at. It seemed like the evening just couldn't get any worse. But it did. Mom had gotten home from work early. When we got back, she was already home. Oh no. She immediately pounced on me. What is the meaning of this? Not only did you disobey me, but you also took your sister with you. It's past her bedtime. She took away my allowance for a whole month, all because of my little sister. I almost didn't know how to go to school the next day. My worst fears had come true. Everyone was discussing the party and staring at me. It was unbearable. I was really worried about what Dave thought of me. After school, I decided to talk to him. Hey, look, I'm so sorry about Irma. She's always pranking people, but I couldn't leave her with anyone because Dave waved my words away. Never mind that. She's just a kid. It was funny. Wow, so he wasn't angry? That gave me the courage to try something else. Back then, there was supposed to be a chocolate pie in the lunchbox. Maybe I'll cook it again if you'll come over tomorrow? Why not? I'd love to. I was over the moon. This time, everything would work out. I spent the whole day preparing for his visit. I didn't have to go to school, and Mom worked until late at night. I bought a pie again, cleaned up, and set the table. Then, I picked up the dress that Irma had painted from the dry cleaners. Fortunately, there was no trace of her art left on it. In the late afternoon, I went to the bathroom. To be honest, I had one pretty silly habit, humming in the shower. Moreover, I liked rock, but for some reason, I always sang all sorts of pop music. Oops, I did it again. After the shower, I changed my clothes, put on makeup, and gave instructions to Irma. Stay in your room and don't come out, okay? If you pull something again, I'll show you what happens. That's Dave! Irma, remember what I said.
I got it already.
We were sitting in the living room drinking tea. It's delicious. Thank you. I mentally exhaled. Hooray! He hadn't realized that I'd bought the pie. We had a lot of common interests. Our tastes were similar, especially when it came to music. We both loved the same rock bands. Dave suggested we watch a movie, and I turned on the TV. Soon, Irma appeared in the living room. I got pretty angry, but I tried to control myself. I had asked her to stay in her room, damn it.
I want to watch a movie too.
She sat down on the floor and spread her toys around. No, Irma, go to your room. Oh, let her stay. It's no trouble. When the movie started, he moved to sit with her on the floor. They quickly found a common language and started whispering to each other. Soon, I got tired of sitting alone, so I had to join them. I'd already calmed down and accepted Irma's presence when I suddenly noticed something terrible. She had brought her toys in the box that I had bought the pie in. Oh, she had definitely done this on purpose. And Dave had noticed the box too. He must have realized I hadn't actually made the pie. I made Irma get up and I brought her to her room. Why are you doing everything to spite me? You caused me nothing but trouble. You set me up again. Remember I said my sister's tricks didn't work on me? She started fake crying, but I just went back to the living room. Dave noticed that I was upset and tried to calm me down. Listen, I pretty quickly realized that you'd bought the pie. I've bought it before too. It's okay. Thank you for inviting me anyway. Really? I'm sorry. It's so stupid. Can we forget about it and dance? We turned on our favorite music. At some point, a slow song started playing. May I have this dance? We spun in a slow dance. It was so romantic. After the melody ended, there was a slight pause. In the silence, loud screams were suddenly heard. Oops, I did it again. I didn't immediately understand what it was, but then it dawned on me. It was me, singing in the shower. Irma came back to the living room. She had recorded my singing on her phone and turned it on at full volume. I was right! She was a little monster. I was a terrible singer, and it was a pop song. I felt so awkward I didn't know what to do with myself. Irma was making me look like a complete idiot. Again! That's it. You're finished. Tomorrow, I'm taking you to a dark forest and I'm leaving you there! While I was screaming, several things happened. First of all, Dave left. Secondly, Mom came home. They even bumped into each other at the door. Mom, as usual, took Irma's side. She heard what I was saying and got angry. Camille, how could you say something like that? She is your sister. You'll be sitting at home all day tomorrow looking after her. Don't you dare yell at her again. I was gritting my teeth in frustration. This was so unfair. I went to my room, slamming the door loudly. The next day was a real nightmare. I had to spoon feed my sister, fulfilling all her demands and entertain her. And as luck would have it, Mom had a day off and was watching me closely. Irma quickly realized that there was nothing I could do and mocked me as best she could.
I'm the boss, and you're my subordinate. Hurry up and bring me cornflakes.
I wanted to tell her everything I thought of her, but then Mom intervened. Irma's behavior seemed pretty funny to her, and she laughed. See, Camille? Now you're working for your little sister. Irma continued to try my patience. She came up with different tasks for me to do. She was infuriating. I jumped around the room, blew up balloons, and constantly had to say, "Yes, boss." I pretended to be a horse, my sister climbed on my back, and we rode around the house. In the evening, Mom was suddenly called into work. She quickly packed up and asked me for something before leaving. Go for a walk with Irma. She needs to get some fresh air. Get some fresh air? Well, Irma had it coming. I decided it was time to scare her. There was a forest not far from our house. I took my sister there.
Where are we going?
I warned you. Remember, I told you I would take you to a dark forest and leave you there?
You're lying.
But the closer we got, the more scared she looked. She even tried to resist, but I still dragged her along. Witches and scary monsters live there. They'll take you with them because you've been a very bad girl. Irma whimpered.
I won't do it again. Honestly, I promise. Sis, let's go home.
We walked a little more and stopped in a small clearing. I put Irma on a stump. A squirrel ran by us. While Irma was distracted looking at it, I quickly moved to the side and hid among the trees. When my sister noticed that I wasn't there, she immediately started crying.
Camille, where are you? I'm scared.
It served her right. She wouldn't bother me anymore. I suddenly got a text on my phone from Lassie. She was asking me how things were going. While I was texting her back, Irma had disappeared. I noticed that after sending the text and looking at the stump. I came up from behind the trees and I searched the whole clearing. Hey, quit hiding! It's not funny! When I couldn't find Irma, I panicked. My joke didn't seem funny anymore. Where could she have gone? I came out of the forest and I looked around, but my sister was nowhere to be seen. She wasn't answering her phone either. My heart was pounding like crazy. Had she gotten lost in the woods? Well, that was it. I was finished. Mom would kill me. I called Lassie and I asked her to come over. We started looking for Irma together. She is so annoying. She always causes so many problems. At school, everyone stared at me after that party. And Dave left yesterday. But today, Irma's really outdone herself. Lassie suddenly stopped and gave me a weird look. Actually, Irma isn't the one to blame. On the contrary, we were actually pretty amused by her jokes. Everyone was surprised by your behavior. People were talking about you because you were yelling at your sister like crazy. You can't do that. Are you serious? That gave me pause. I started to see my situation in a new light. I guess I really had gone too far. Even Dave had said that Irma was just a kid, and he'd gotten along with her. What if he had left the day before because of me, and not because of her antics? Was I really that bad of a sister? At some point, Mom called me. Are you two doing okay? Everything's fine. We're still on a walk, but we're going home soon. I hung up and I put my head in my hands. Damn it. How could I get myself into such a mess? It was getting really dark. I wasn't sure if I should call the police or not. There really wasn't another way out of this, though. If Irma's found, I'll never hurt her again. I'll even agree to babysit her all the time, and I'll even call her boss. I suddenly heard a familiar voice nearby.
Haha, I recorded you on video, so now you can't take it back.
I turned around and I saw Irma. Dave was holding her hand. What was he doing there? I ran up to my sister and I hugged her tightly. I had never been the sentimental type, but at that moment, I was so relieved that I almost burst out crying. Irma had decided to teach you a lesson and hid, but then she really did get lost. She was pretty angry at you, so she didn't pick up the phone and called me instead. Yesterday, we exchanged numbers while playing. I got here pretty quick, found Irma and brought her out of the forest. Luckily, she hadn't gone too far. Is that true? You must have been so scared, sis. Will you forgive me? I shouldn't have acted like this.
Okay, let's forget about it. But you have to do everything I say for a whole week.
After my sister and I had cleared everything up, I went up to Dave. You probably don't want to talk to me anymore after all this. Dave was silent for a moment, and then suddenly smiled. You are a pretty terrible singer, and it was a really lame song, but why don't we go to a rock concert together? I was delighted, and I agreed. Dave sat Irma on his shoulders, and we went home. When Mom came home from work, Irma and I were already asleep, and the next day, my sister didn't turn me in.
Our adventure will be our secret.
Irma and I had actually become friends. I realized how hard it was for my mom to raise the two of us, and now I'm doing my best to help her. Sometimes I take my sister with me to parties, and she never fails to make people laugh. Dave and I started dating. He's a really cool guy. Sometimes children can be hard to handle and seem like real monsters, but life wouldn't be so much fun without them. Do you often have to look after your younger siblings? Tell us in the comments down below.
No one likes you. That's why I didn't invite you to my birthday party. If anyone finds out that we know each other, then everyone will think I'm a loser like you. So stay away from me. Has anyone ever said something similar to you? If so, you were probably a loser in school, like me. Most of my classmates didn't even know I existed, and my teachers kept forgetting my name. Like one time when I got an A+ on my report card in math, although I had failed the written math exam. The only way I could explain how this had happened was that the teacher had confused me with another girl in our class who had the same name as me. Now, I believe that there are two ways to become popular in high school as a girl. First, you are pretty. Or second, you have a really outgoing personality. Unfortunately, I had neither because I was ugly and boring. Hey, what will you do this weekend? Watch TV with my mom, I guess. With your mom? Don't you have any friends? No, I didn't have friends, and it was my mom's fault because she controlled my whole life down to the smallest detail. Put this dress on. I like it. But Mom, tight dresses don't fit my body type. My mom didn't care. She forced me to put it on, and once I came back from the dressing room, she said, "Oh God, it looks hideous on you. I didn't know someone could look this ugly." Some kids don't feel hurt when their parents criticize them, but I am very sensitive. I still remember the last time I dared to make a joke at home. I was 6 or 7 years old, and I said, "Mom, I knew Santa Claus exists. That's because you are cheap, and you would never buy me any expensive gifts, so Santa must have brought them." I was just a child making a silly joke, but my mom freaked out and said, "You dare to insult your mother? Go to your room so I don't have to see your ugly face anymore. You are ugly, ugly, ugly." I didn't understand why my joke had offended her so much, but after this traumatic event, I never made a joke again. Instead, I morphed myself into a shy, boring girl who couldn't offend anyone. It was an adaptation strategy to survive my mom's cruel outbursts of rage. Now you also understand why I'm a weirdo. If my mom had at least sent me to a team sport to socialize with other kids, but no, she forced me to take private recorder lessons at home. And there was no instrument less cool than a recorder. Anyway, in 10th grade, I made my first friend on my bus ride home. Her name was Vanessa, and she just sat down next to me and started talking. It was less of a conversation and more of a monologue from her because she loved talking about herself. Her house is on the same street as mine, and one day, she knocked on my door because her dog had run away. She wanted me to help her find him, and of course I agreed, because that's what friends do for each other, right? Well, a few hours later, I actually found her dog hiding under some stairs. The strange thing was that the dog didn't want to go back home to Vanessa. I had to carry him home to her while he was kicking and crying. When Vanessa saw us, she said, "You stupid dog! Mom would kill me if you ran away." Then she told me, "My family bought him for $5,000 when he was a puppy, but he looked a lot cuter back then than he does now, so I think I'm gonna sell him again." Wow, she didn't care at all that her dog was alive and well. She also forgot to thank me for finding her dog. Most of you probably wouldn't want to be friends with someone like Vanessa, but I was a loser and I couldn't be that picky. One day on the bus, Vanessa mentioned that it was her birthday that weekend. Cool, will you throw a party? No, I'm going to visit my grandma in the countryside. Now you have to understand one thing. Every Monday, one of Vanessa's real friends rode the bus too. And then Vanessa always pretended I didn't exist. She wouldn't say hi or even look at me. Stupid as I was, I thought she just forgot about me because she had so much fun talking to her other friend. So on the Monday after her birthday, I went over to them and said, "Hey Vanessa, I hope you had a great birthday. I brought you a present." Before Vanessa could respond, her friend said, "Oh my God, who is this ugly duckling and how does it know you, Vanessa?" Ew! She doesn't know me, and I don't know her either. Then she screamed as loud as she could, "Get away from me, you creep!" They both started laughing, and I went back to my seat in utter shock. I was mad and thought, well, if she doesn't want my gift, that's her bad. But the next day, Vanessa sat back down next to me as if nothing had happened at all. She said, "The gift you showed me yesterday, do you still have it with you?" "No, I left it home. I didn't want to creep you out again." Oh God, are you still mad about yesterday? Don't you understand how nice I've been to you all this time? Remember when you asked me if I threw a birthday party and I said no? Guess what? I lied to you. Of course I had a birthday party, but it was better for you not to come because nobody likes you, and all my friends would have made fun of you because you were a creepy loser. Wow. While my mom had to put effort into making me feel bad, Vanessa did it without even trying. I responded, "So, am I your friend?" "Of course, you are my backup friend. If I don't have anyone better to talk to, then I will hang out with you." Looking back, Vanessa showed many signs of narcissistic personality disorder. Not only did she have a complete disregard for my feelings, but she also did everything she could to get other people's attention. She often took selfies, posted them on Instagram with ridiculous captions underneath, like, "Remind me to never trust someone again." She also fabricated stories to make herself look better. She told me, "In case you didn't know, I am a great singer. I went on X Factor last year, and the only reason I didn't make it through the auditions was that I was too young. But Simon Cowell personally approached me backstage and wanted to exchange numbers with me so we could stay in touch. He thought I had an incredible voice." Well, Vanessa's and my friendship came to an abrupt end when a good-looking boy started riding our bus too. Vanessa told him, "Oh, usually I sit where you sit now, but it's okay. I'll just sit next to you. By the way, do you like brunettes?" Afterward, Vanessa never felt like talking to me again. She had found a better companion, but the cute boy ran into me once and my books fell over. He picked them up again and apologized, but Vanessa couldn't bear not being the center of attention, even if it was just for a second. So she faked a loud sneeze that sounded like some bird chirping. Achoo! Vanessa, why did you just make that sound? Oh, I don't know. I always sneeze like that. Do you like it? Yeah, Vanessa was an attention-seeking little brat. Meanwhile, my miserable life didn't change until I graduated high school. I was 18, about to go to college, and ready to reinvent myself. I set all kinds of goals, that this time I would be more social, make lots of friends, and be popular. And sure enough, when I moved into my dorm, I immediately hit it off with my roommate Angela. She even invited me to a college party, and I thought this was my chance to show the world the new me. But once I arrived at the party, my anxiety kicked back in. I couldn't talk to anyone and just stood around alone and awkwardly. That's why I got myself a couple of drinks to relax. Biggest mistake of my life. I had never drunk alcohol before, and I ended up going over to a couple that was making out. Go away, you tramp. Now it's my turn to make out with your boyfriend. I tried to kiss the guy, but his girlfriend slapped me in the face, at which point I spat at her and yelled, "I'm going to sleep with your boyfriend tonight and there's nothing you can do about it." Meanwhile, all my fellow students were watching and laughing at me. I woke up the next morning feeling so ashamed of myself that I didn't leave my dorm room for 2 weeks. Eventually, I started attending classes again, but by then I had missed so many classes that it was impossible for me to catch up on the material. So I completely stopped attending classes again and fell into a depression, staying in bed all day for the rest of the semester. Finally, I was kicked out of college and had to move back in with my mom. It's just like in the old times now. My mom keeps telling me that she isn't surprised that I failed college, and that I should follow her career advice from now on. I guess the only thing that changed is that I now owe $10,000 in student loans. Honestly, I hate myself, I hate my life, and I hate my mom.